There are many horror stories in Malaysia. Stories about ghosts we can name, creatures we can describe. But some of the most disturbing experiences are not about monsters. They're about people, or at least things that look like people. Tonight's stories are not loud. They don't scream for attention. They happened quietly, late at night, in places that felt familiar. Each story you're about to hear is based on real experiences shared by ordinary people. People who never thought they would see anything unusual until they did. These are true Malaysian horror stories.
I've never been someone who attracts supernatural things. No sightings, no voices, no strange shadows in the corner of my eye. In fact, if you asked me back then, I would have told you that ghosts were the least of my worries. But there is one incident, one night, that still stays with me. Not because it was loud or violent, but because of how quiet it was. This happened toward the end of 2019. At that time, my friends and I were working evening shifts at a fast food restaurant. Our shift usually ended late, close to 11 p.m. That night, after clocking out, none of us felt like going home just yet. We were young, tired, and bored, a dangerous combination. So instead of heading back, we gathered at a friend's house nearby. There were about 6 of us. We sat outside his house under dim lights, doing what we always did, talking nonsense, joking around, passing time without any real plan. Some of them were playing cards. Others were scrolling through their phones. Nothing unusual. At some point, while we were playing, one of my friends, let's call him Ahmad, spoke up. He suggested we go somewhere nearby, somewhere quiet, somewhere hidden, an old building deep in a forested area. He said it casually, like it was no big deal, a place people avoided at night. Normally, I don't join things like this. Late-night bravery tests often end badly. But there were many of us, and curiosity slowly crept in. I had never heard any stories about that place before, so eventually I agreed. We decided to go by motorcycle. 3 bikes, 2 people per bike. It was faster and honestly more exciting. The night air was cool, the roads were quiet. As we rode deeper, the surroundings changed. Street lights became fewer, houses disappeared, trees closed in around the road. Still, nothing felt threatening. If anything, it felt peaceful. When we arrived, the place looked abandoned. No lights, no movement, just the sound of insects and the wind moving through the trees. We used our phone lights to look around. I remember thinking that if anything went wrong, it wouldn't be a ghost. It would be a wild animal or someone hiding in the dark. After walking around for a while, we decided we had seen enough. It wasn't as scary as we expected. So we gathered up, ready to leave. That was when we noticed something strange. One of us was missing, Ahmad. At first, no one panicked. We assumed he was messing around. That was his personality. We called out his name. Nothing. We called again, louder this time. Still nothing. That was when the mood changed. We tried calling his phone. Once, twice, 3 times. No answer. I felt a tightness in my chest. Not fear, but unease. Just as we decided to search deeper into the area, my phone rang. It was Ahmad. Relief washed over me, followed by anger. I answered immediately, telling him to stop playing games and come back. But his voice didn't sound playful. It sounded confused. He asked me what I was talking about. He said he never came with us. He said he wasn't feeling well earlier and had gone home to rest. I didn't believe him, so I made a video call. The screen lit up. There he was, lying on his bed, at home, alone. He looked straight at the camera and said, "Are you satisfied now? I'm really at home." My body went cold. I put the phone on speaker. Everyone saw it. No one spoke. One of my friends, the one who had been riding on the same motorcycle as Ahmad, started looking completely drained of color. He started shaking. Without discussing it, we all knew what to do. We left immediately. We rode back as fast as we could. No jokes, no laughter, just the sound of engines cutting through the night. When we reached Ahmad's house, chaos broke out. The friend who rode with the Ahmad we saw that night started shouting, accusing Ahmad of lying, of playing a cruel prank. But Ahmad looked genuinely confused. He swore he never left the house. That was when fear truly settled in. That night, we went home quietly. No one talked about it anymore. The next day, the friend who had ridden with the Ahmad we saw that night fell seriously ill. A high fever. It lasted for several days. He lost a lot of weight. He told us he kept dreaming, dreams of being watched, of something sitting silently nearby. After that, he slowly stopped hanging out with us. Life moved on. We drifted apart. Years later, out of curiosity, I went back to that place. It looked ordinary, quiet, almost peaceful. But even now, whenever I think about that night, I still can't explain who was riding that motorcycle with us.
Before I start, you need to understand something about my house. It's a 4-story house, and right in the middle of it, there is an indoor swimming pool. Over the years, many strange stories circulated about this house. Stories told by maids, by workers, by people who stayed for a long time. They used to say there were certain periods, times when strange things happened more frequently, almost like a season. This incident happened when I was around 11 years old. That night, my mother, my sister, and I arrived home at about 11 p.m. It was just the 3 of us, all women. My mother was not a brave person, especially not at night. I remember how tightly we walked together, as if we were entering a place we didn't fully trust. My mother said she needed to go to the kitchen. She didn't say why, but she asked my sister and me to follow closely. We walked slowly, almost nervously, like people entering a haunted house without admitting it out loud. As we walked, I felt something else, curiosity. Because most of the horror stories we heard about the house were always connected to the swimming pool. While following my mother toward the kitchen, I turned my head slightly to the right, toward the pool area. The pool had 2 staircases going down into the water. Near one of the staircases, there was a tall, decorative plant in a vase. That was when I saw her, a girl in white. She had very long hair. Her face looked pale, almost glowing. At first, I wasn't afraid. I simply assumed it was our maid. I stood there, staring at her. Seconds passed, and something felt wrong. Then I realized that woman did not look like our maid. At that exact moment, I heard my mother calling me. I turned slightly toward her voice. Then I felt it. I was standing halfway inside the swimming pool area. There was a sliding glass door separating the pool from the house. I had already opened it without realizing. It felt like I had walked there without thinking, like my body moved on its own. When I looked back at the spot where the woman was standing, there was nothing, just darkness. My mother looked angry. She asked why I walked into the pool area alone. I told her I thought the maid was there, because the laundry area and washing machines were also near the pool. I thought she was washing clothes. Before I could explain further, my mother told me to be quiet immediately. She grabbed us, and we all ran upstairs. No one spoke. That night, nothing else was said. The next morning, I walked toward the kitchen. I saw one of the houseworkers talking to my mother. She looked upset, scared. I overheard her describing something she saw the night before, a woman near the swimming pool. My heart started racing. I walked closer, and without thinking, I described the woman I had seen. The worker froze. She looked at me in shock. Then she hugged me tightly. She turned to my mother and said, "Madam, I'm not lying. Even your child saw it." My mother said nothing. She brushed it off, pretended not to care. But I could see it. She was terrified. After that day, the stories slowly stopped. Or maybe we just stopped talking about them. Even now, when I think back, I still don't know how long I was standing there, or how far I would have walked if my mother hadn't called my name.
My best friend once worked part-time at a haunted house. I can't mention the name of the place, not because I want to protect its reputation, but because I don't want her getting into trouble. She wasn't hired as a ghost. She worked as part of the management team. Her job was to take care of the cast, make sure they were safe, break up fights, handle people who thought it was funny to cross the line. The haunted house was divided into different sections. Each night, managers were assigned specific areas. The night my friend found out which area she was responsible for, she said her body went cold. Even people who no longer worked there warned her about that section, not just because of ghost stories, but because strange things kept happening there. She tried to ignore it. She told herself to focus on work. That night, one of the cast members, a young woman, suddenly said she wasn't feeling well. She looked pale, weak. So my friend allowed her to rest. Later, the girl insisted she was fine and went back in to perform. But not long after, she came running back out. She was vomiting over and over. Anything she drank came right back up. Her face had lost all color. My friend tried everything: water, rest, cold compress, but the girl kept repeating one thing: "My shoulder hurts." When they checked, her shoulder was hot, red, swollen, painful to touch. The medic was called. She had to be escorted out. What made this disturbing was what came next. One of the rooms in that section had a pocong scene. 4 were mannequins. 1 was a real cast member wrapped in white. The routine was simple. The guests enter, they scream, the real pocong jumps out and chases them briefly. That night, during one of the sets, 2 pochongs jumped. Not 1, 2. There should have only been 1 real person in that room, but witnesses swear they saw 2 moving figures, both chasing guests. The cast member later told my friend he didn't dare open his eyes fully. He had earphones in, playing religious recitations. He said he just kept moving until one of the figures disappeared on its own. That same night, he complained about shoulder pain. By the end of the shift, something even worse happened. Several cast members discovered scratch marks on their shoulders, claw-like, red, burning. Some said they felt paw prints pressed into their skin. My friend herself didn't see anything. She isn't sensitive, but she said the atmosphere that night felt wrong, heavy, unsettling. When her shift ended in the early morning, she followed a rule everyone there knew. If you feel off, don't go straight inside your house. Stay outside for a while. Let anything that followed you leave first. That night, she did exactly that. But when she finally went home, her neck stiffened, her shoulder started hurting badly. She developed fever-like symptoms. Nothing serious happened, but she believes something tried to follow her. Later, they found out something disturbing. Someone, possibly a former crew member, had performed a ritual not to protect the place, but to open it, to remove the barrier, to let things in. After that, disturbances became frequent. Cast members falling sick, seeing things, being touched. That was when my friend finally quit. There were other stories she told me, things worse than this, things I still remember clearly. But there is one image I will never forget. A cast member being restrained, eyes wide open, tongue hanging out, body crawling as if something else was controlling it. That was when they realized some doors should never be opened.
Not every story has an ending. Some questions remain unanswered. Some memories stay uncomfortable, even years later. If you have experienced something you can't explain, something quiet, something that still lingers, you're not alone. You can share your story with us. Until next time, be careful what you follow, and be careful what follows you.